Have you ever wanted to get into real estate, but you just do not know how to? You think you don't have the money, you don't think you have the resources, and it just seems like a stretch for you. Well, at one point, this is where I was whenever I wanted to get into real estate, until I figured out what wholesaling real estate is. So, wholesaling real estate is the art of finding off-market properties, putting those properties under contract, and then assigning those properties to an end buyer who will either buy the property, fix it up, or they could possibly live in there, but most of the time we're dealing with investors and properties that need work. So wholesaling is being able to get a property under contract and then assign that contract to an end buyer who's going to bring all the money to the closing table so that you do not have to bring any of your money. Now, you're probably thinking like, well, this doesn't, I don't know, like this doesn't seem realistic. Very realistic, very easy. So just to give you an example of wholesaling real estate, one of my students had a house that was next door to them, and he knew that house was vacant for a year or two since the time frame he has lived there. So what he did, he went to his local PVA website. So for example, I live in Jefferson County, so I would type in Jefferson County PVA. He then found out who the owner was. From then, he wrote down the owner's name, their mailing address, went over to truepeoplesearch.com and fastpeoplesearch.com and found the owner's information as far as their contact information. He then seen that the owner was deceased. He had the owner's contact information, and whenever you go to these websites, it also gives you the relatives information. So what you're going to do is you're going to call and reach out to the owners. Hey, I was just seeing if you might be interested in selling 123 Main Street, and then if you can't get a hold of the owners, then you're going to try to get a hold of the relatives. So that's what my student did. He couldn't get a hold of the owners. He seen that the owner was deceased. So then he looked up her obituary, and then from there found her kids, looked up their kids on this True People Search and Fast People Search website, which is 100% free, found their numbers, got in contact with them, got a contract on the property. Then after that, he went and found a buyer. Now, finding a buyer is not the hard part. It is honestly the easier part. So whenever you're looking for a buyer, there's a few ways you can look for buyers if you don't have any. What he did, he specifically went to a Facebook group. Hey, I've got a deal over in 40215. Who would be interested in looking at this property, right? So that's what he did. And then from there, we found a buyer who we assigned the contract to. And now we are supposed to close on the deal this week, hopefully. There are some title issues, so we're not going to make as much as we initially thought. But that's part of the just part of the game. Sometimes some deals will just happen that way, right? So essentially, wholesaling is finding an off-market property, getting in contact with the owner, getting that piece of property secured with a contract, and then selling the contract and assigning your rights to buying that property to somebody for more money. So then they bring the money to the closing table and they fund the transaction, and you make the difference in between what you have it under contract for and what the buyer is buying it for. So if you have the property under contract for $40 and you have a buyer for $50, you make the difference in between $40,000 and $50,000 minus any closing costs that you might occur. But when you're doing a wholesaling transaction, we usually pay for all the closing costs on our seller side. And then we always, whenever we are telling somebody a price, we say plus closing cost, so that this person knows that they have to pay all the closing costs, so then we don't have to worry about it. It doesn't happen every single time with a buyer, but that's how we usually try to do it. So just to recap, wholesaling real estate, you find a property off market, contact the owner, see if they want to sell, get that property under contract for a good price, and then find a buyer for more money. So you're essentially just staying in between the transactions so you don't have to bring money to the closing table. This is an amazing strategy. We've been able to generate multiple six figures a year through wholesaling real estate. Follow our channel if you like this video, and please comment if you have any questions, and we will try to answer them for you. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.